Welcome back to the Non-League Papers Non-League Goalmouth. My name is Matt Badcock. I'm joined by our executive editor John Couch and our man in the northeast, Mark Carruthers. Chaps, how are you?
All
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
Very good, very good. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk all things FA Cup. Obviously, we've got the FA Cup second round this weekend. The big games on Saturday, previewing all the Sunday games and Monday games. Brackley playing on Monday night in Sunday's paper. So make sure you grab a copy of that, subscribe online as well, and get that straight into your through your letterbox on Sunday morning and digitally, and also like and subscribe to this podcast. But we're going to go through it all. We've got the best in the business to talk about. Obviously, Mark, we're followed by the great Ryan Reynolds and Alan Shearer, so he's a man who knows what he's talking about. And Couchy, not sure who you're followed by. Anybody important?
You don't know. No one really. Only you two esteemed gentlemen.
Well, this is it. That's what we're just saying. I think Mark is my most prestigious person who follows me. So
we should probably say it on Twitter. I don't have like Ryan Reynolds and Alan Shearer follow me around.
Well, okay. It probably is a bit of a distinction. I thought he was kind of sort of like slightly off camera there, just sort of like,
Oh no, he is, but a bit shy.
Well, I'm sure he'll be waiting to tune into this. Let's start with an all non-league tie on Saturday. Obviously, the chance to get to the FA Cup third round doesn't come around all that often. We've got two all non-league ties across this weekend. We'll start with Chelmsford Weston on Saturday, an all National League South tie. And Couchy, one that both, we know their ambitions. Chelmsford kind of had their big investment over the last sort of year and a bit, gone full time. Angela Harrop in the manager sort of rebuilt the squad in the summer. They beat Braintree in the last round. At home, we'll have high hopes of progressing, but then they're going up against a Weston-super-Mare side who are obviously flying themselves. They had a bit of a change with Scott Bartlett moving on to East Leigh, Scott Rogers coming in as manager, but they beat Aldershot in the last round. Couchy, do you think it's a game that both will sort of turn up on Saturday and think, play as best we can win this?
Yes, it's a massive opportunity for both clubs. I mean, Chelmsford, you mentioned the ambition that they got, and the infrastructure's there. They're talking Premier League, aren't they? In about 15 years' time of
Premier League 2038. I haven't spoken to
we've heard that before, haven't we? But I mean, the reality is they're going to this game against a team that they know very well, who are going very well in their league, but their league form has fallen off a cliff for the last couple of weeks, and they really haven't prepped themselves really for this game with any kind of form at all, and they're going to need to get that right, because they're coming up against the Weston-super-Mare side, who many thought would fall away at the top of the National League South table, but they really haven't. They're joint top of the table, just second to Torquay on goal difference, and very high in confidence, banging form. It's going to be a pretty nervy affair, I think, at Melbourne Avenue. The home side clearly will be backed by a big sort of partisan crowd, and they do get behind their team well at Chelmsford there. But I think Weston will fancy their chances of going there and taking them all the way. I can't call this one. I think it's about who's going to turn up on the day. I know it's the biggest cliche in the game, but no, big wide open game here. Big opportunities for both.
Yeah, Mark, do you is it kind of that, that not pressure, but that it's such an opportunity that neither of them will want to let this pass by clearly because of what can come in the third round, but it has that sort of slightly different dynamic, possibly because it is an all National League South fixture. They do know each other, and it is, for both of them, they will feel it's winnable, and there will be that real regret if they aren't able to come out on the right side of it.
Well, I always think when you get to the second round, you want either a big tie at home that may be on TV, or you can get that income and such like, or you want someone who you feel you can beat to get into that third round. And we know what comes in the third round with, your big Premier League clubs come in and the kind of the income that can bring, and the glamour and the intrigue and all that sort of thing. So I guess what it offers both clubs is an opportunity, a big opportunity to get through. You know, they know what they're going to be facing. There's no kind of air of mystery about the opposition. And I think in that sense, it maybe plays into both their hands. The fact that they do know so much, there's not a need to go out and send someone halfway up the country to scout an opposition. They know what they're facing. They'll know each other inside out. So that, as Couchy says, that really probably makes it quite an open game where anything could happen. It may well end up feeling a bit like a cup game, but league game, but with that added carrot of what lies in wait for the winner. So I think it's a fascinating tie, this one. It's the same with the other all non-league tie as well. It's very much a similar answer I would give to that one, where it just feels as if anything could happen then. And I mean, what lies ahead is just phenomenal for any non-league club, as we know. The potential of playing a Premier League club or even a big Championship club. You look at the Championship now; it's full of former Premier League clubs or big clubs. So yeah, it's a really intriguing.
Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, and Sheffield Wednesday, yeah.
Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this now? Why are we doing this now? I'm just sitting here listening to put some lovely wisdom on, and then you've just taken a needless pot. Totally blindsided me.
Privately, I've tried to be sympathetic with batters about Sheffield. It is a heartbreaking situation, but hopefully, hopefully something good comes of it. But yeah,
I thought we were going to talk about how if you can get Ipswich in the third round, it means you can make sure you're in the fourth round, because the way their sort of record against non-league sides have been in recent years.
That's it. Yeah. That's the tie you want, isn't it? A bit like Maidstone a couple of years ago. That's exactly the game you want.
Ipswich away is a good one to get. But no, like you say, Mark, though, it is well, I think we've said it before, haven't we? The first round has that kind of, the real sort of, glitz and glamour, I suppose, of that stage of the competition, and the sort of that romantic side. Whereas this one does feel much more like almost like a business trip kind of thing. It's can you get through? And we all know we've seen clubs get through and not get the draws that they like to get, and you are kind of at the mercy of what comes out of the hat if you can get through. But we all know how life changing, club changing, career changing that big draw can be, and that's the opportunity for both Chelmsford and Weston, isn't it? And that's
I almost feel like it's like the semi-finals of the competition where nobody ever remembers who lost the semi-final. It's all about who got through the final, and that's kind of how it'll feel for non-league clubs that miss out on over the weekend. It's that what could have been rather than what actually has happened. So yeah, it's always an interesting weekend, and one that kind of gets overlooked because of what it's kind of sandwiched between, I guess.
Yeah, I was speaking to in the way I was speaking to Scott Davis, who are obviously a manager of Slough Town. They got Macclesfield and the other all step two game, and he was basically saying, if you don't win this, there's going to be so many what ifs, and he's dead right. I think another quote of his was, you're 90 minutes from jubilation, but you're 90 minutes from heartache, and that's the FA Cup second round all over. Really, it's just a case of get the job done. Doesn't matter how you do it, just win the game, get into that third round hat. It's a real damp squib, isn't it? The FA Cup second round, you come so far, but it ends up in disappointment. It's just that final hurdle. Get over that final hurdle, win the game, do whatever you have to do, and then let fate take over from there.
But it's also that thing of, if you do go out in the second round and then you watch the third round draw, and the team that's just put you out go and get a massive draw, that must be absolutely heartbreaking. I've seen that happen enough, where you just think, wow, what could have been? That's what you want, isn't it? To avoid any what could have beens or what might have beens.
Yeah, I think that's a draw that I would not be watching.
Yeah,
you just have to turn everything off and go out for a long walk or something, and just because it is that how many players have we interviewed down the years who've never had these sort of opportunities and gone and played at the against some of the biggest clubs, and also flip side of that, how many players have we interviewed who have had that opportunity, and managers who have had them, fans as well, who have had that opportunity to go up against that sort of Premier League side or big Championship side, and the sort of the memories of that can kind of create, win or lose. But
I remember the Farmer run. Do you remember? You'll remember this, Matt. They got to the third round for the first time, and the big waiting for the for the draw to take place. And then Darlington away. I don't think it could have got any worse for him. It was
Darlington just sort of smashed. They just smashed Stevenage in the round before, hadn't they? As well, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was
like a really sort of like, it's actually a really difficult away trip as well.
Yeah, Darlington were in League Two at the time, or the equivalent of League Two at the time.
Yeah, I'm sure it's Stevenage. They just smashed like 5-0.
Snowing up there as well. As it was, they beat them and ended up playing Arsenal in the next round, which was great. But there was just the contrast of those two draws, and the expectation of the third round draw, and the lucrative ties that were there, and Darlington away didn't really get any worse than that.
My good friend Paul Dixon, who covers non-league for BBC Newcastle up here, he was assistant manager at Whitley Bay when they got to the second round in the sort of late 90s, and they beat who did they beat? Preston. They beat Preston at Hill Heads, and he said they were all waiting for the draw to take place, and they came out away to Rochdale, and he said, I've never been so disappointed in my life, where you think, we could be going to Old Trafford or Anfield or Highbury as it was then, and he said then you draw Rochdale, who, with all due respect, they aren't as good a club as Rochdale are. They aren't one of those Premier League clubs that you wanted, and then went out at Rochdale. So, yeah, it's heartbreaking when that happens, but I think it's more heartbreaking if you don't even get in the third round.
That's it, yeah.
Which is why this weekend is so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Well, Farmer did end up playing at Highbury that year, but that's another podcast, for another time. That's after all that went, happened with that, because obviously they're drawn at home and all the change. But I can't remember when Crawley, when they got Manchester United, I'm sure they played down at Torquay in the third round, if I'm remembering rightly. So sometimes it is, the runs you can get through to that third round and not quite get the draw you'd sort of hope for. I know Lincoln City.
Well, Albion did it as well, didn't they? They were non-league, but they play in United.
They played Man United as well. I'm sure Crawley. I'm sure Crawley was in the fourth round. One of those things I sort of, you saw reel these things off my head a few years ago, and then COVID came along and it sort of like my calendar to shot my calendar to pieces. But yeah, you think about like Lincoln as well. I think that's when they played Ipswich in the third round. Then they played Brighton, then they played Burnley. Sutton, that's the year they played Arsenal that year. But again, they didn't get. I think they played Leeds in the third round from memory. So it is. I
could have had a couple of good ones over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. There's always those good ties in it, but sometimes it is having to wait a little bit and get through to that fourth round sometimes, even, which is so hard to do. But as you say though, Slough hosting Macclesfield and mark an opportunity, two sides unfamiliar with each other, but Macclesfield will still go down there with that, that sort of feeling of bounce with Danny Elliott scored, fired in loads of goals in all season, and it's someone Slough are going to have to keep quiet if they're going to progress, but an opportunity for Mac as well.
Yeah, and I think whenever you've got a striker like Danny, who I saw for a very brief loan spell at Gateshead a few seasons back, as soon as he went into that Gateshead side who were struggling, it just transformed everything. And let's be honest, I think when he went to Macclesfield, with all due respect to them, he was playing below his level, because we know what he can do in the National League. We know what he can do in the National League North. So when he went into the Northern Premier League, you're thinking he's going to score bucket loads. Now, we've probably said that about a lot of players over the years, and it doesn't always happen, but it just showed the attitude and ability that Danny Elliott has, that he's done what he's done in the last sort of 18 months since he's been there. Now, he could be the difference maker in that tie, because he is full of confidence. He's in great form. He's got a great squad around him that are kind of playing to his strengths. So you wouldn't be shocked if they went down there and got a win. But that said, Slough will be looking at it as we've got a home game against another non-league club to get the third round. So it's, again, we keep going back to this word, it's a big opportunity for them as well. But yeah, Macclesfield will be fully confident they can go there and get through into that third round.
Yeah, Slough. Just sort of touching on that. Slough, obviously, in the last round they played at home to Altrincham, which again another unknown opponent. And I think there are many sort of similarities really in this round to theirs, and that they can fall back on a very, very good home record at Arbor Park. I think they've only been beaten there sort of like 8 times competitively over the last sort of 2 seasons. They're very, very comfortable at home, very happy at home. and again a big crowd, but Macclesfield are a big club, and yes, they're only playing step 2, same level as them, but I mean you're talking about a club with big history here, so I think it's a fascinating tie.
Yeah, Mark, do you think you've seen a change in the dynamic of the FA Cup games? You've seen, where there aren't replays now, and it is, kind of on the day.
Yeah, I think what it does, maybe you look at the away side, and that sort of carrot for getting to full time is there, isn't it? It used to be for a replay, but now it's an even bigger opportunity to get through because it is, penalty shootout is there for you when anything can happen. So maybe in some horrible sense, it's kind of made ties a little bit more nervy as well, where, that sort of unpredictability that lies at the end of the 90 minutes is there instead of, oh, well, we've got another 90 minutes to prepare for. But I mean, I still think it's a big miss. I still think, I can't quite get my head around why. Well, I can't get my head around why it was done. We know why it was done. It was money, but that's another thing altogether.
Yeah.
But I just think it's something, we kind of increasingly are taking heritage within football for granted. And there's little bits of it are being stripped away bit by bit. And it tends to be by the elite, like looking down on everyone. And it really frustrates me. It really does. And yeah, I mean, I've had some great memories of replays in the past. And sadly, there will be still a thing in the sort of qualifying rounds. But in the proper rounds, I just think it's been taken away from everyone.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? We're going to, as we said the other week, there's going to be that storyline this year where somebody who doesn't get the replay they perhaps deserve. That again, we know the sort of the financial side of it is clearly important for clubs, and taking that option away. And I know there's sort of arguments about more money coming in, etc., but also, as you say, heritage, which is quite important. Is that a Jose Mourinho quote? There's a thing I call football heritage. It's that sort of thing. It's and it'd be interesting to know what actually sort of players and managers at the top of the game actually really do think about it. Maybe they sort of buy into the heritage sort of side of it as well, and it's sort of people above them making these sort of decisions. But we will see. Let's move on to
great stat about this. Sorry, Badders. Great stat about this Slough Macclesfield game, which I love. Slough Town are playing their 9th FA Cup second round match, but have never reached round 3, and I think that's an unrivaled record throughout English football. So it's they're looking to get in there for the first time. So it's a big hurdle for them. But I just love that stat. So sorry
no, that's it. But again, shows how hard it is to get into the third round.
It does exactly.
You get to the second round 9. You think one time you'll be able to kind of squeeze through, but that does show how hard it is and why it shouldn't be taken for granted. Couch, you caught up with Wealdstone manager Sam Cox last week. Obviously, they're going up to Grimsby. We've had him on here, and we sort of know what a good job he's been doing there since going back into the club in the summer. And a bit of it was always these games that are slightly off the radar of everybody, but Grimsby will know all about Wealdstone and kind of the dangers that they'll possess, but they can kind of go out there really, really sort of just trying to enjoy themselves and try and cause an upset by the seaside.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, you wouldn't give them a prayer, and you'd look and you think, well, this is a mismatch. I mean, you got Grimsby going well in League Two, and Wealdstone, who are mainly part time, albeit going very well in the National League as well. But Sam Cox and his men just know how to create these upsets. They've just got a real good camaraderie and spirit about them, and they'll go there with absolutely nothing to lose, no fear. They proved it in the last round against Southend. Not many people give them much of a prayer of beating Southend, but they did, and they'll go up to Blundell Park, and they'll just give it everything they've got. And Sam Cox, he delivers such a lot of positivity to that dressing room, and they're a very young group. They're hungry. And they proved that in the National League this year. They've been written off so many times. Everyone thought they would fall away after their storming start. They haven't. They're still in there. They're still 8th, 9th in the table. They're knocking on the door of the playoff places, and no one even give them a prayer, even of staying up this year. You look at them on paper, they just seem to upset the apple cart so many times. And who's to say they're not going to do it on Saturday? Wish them every success.
Yeah, they've obviously got a lot of young players there, like you say, but some very good young players as well. Really sort of talented group. And you spoke to Sam. He's so positive. You kind of feel like when you're speaking to him, you sort of feel like I can see why players run for you and want to work for you. And I think we already know that he'll be the best dressed manager in the second round as well. So sharp on that sideline. But Mark, do you think it kind of helps Grimsby in a funny way that because they've got that non-league sort of background from a fan's point of view, that the fans won't, they'll sort of know the dangers of it. Obviously they've had their big win against Manchester United earlier in the season in the League Cup, so they kind of know that upsets can happen. But they've got that kind of a bit more sort of knowledge of a non-league side and what they're about.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that it's not that long ago that they were a National League club themselves, so I think it's. Weirdly, that win against Manchester United might almost help them, because they'll know the signs of an upset incoming and they can kind of guard against that. I've got no doubt they'll have been professional. They've done as much analysis as they can on Wealdstone, so they'll be able to protect themselves against that. The fact they're at home as well will work in their favour. So, yeah, it's going to be a really tough test for Wealdstone, but they've got enough players in that squad that can provide a threat. The other side as well, I think we sometimes overlook is just how big an opportunity going in against the league side can be for a non-league player, where, given the right performance, who knows what can happen. If you shine, you can impress and potentially get yourself a big move, which I know is not what non-league clubs want to hear, but it is true. We've seen it happen throughout the years, and this has a feeling of that sort of tie, where if a Wealdstone player goes there on the back of a good season in the league and shines, or a promising season in the league and shines, then who knows what can happen for them personally.
Yeah, I always think back to Jamie Vardy when he really announced himself in the FA Cup for Fleetwood against Blackpool, because it was on TV and kind of, obviously been talked about a lot in non-league circles, but it seemed to really catapult him into a sort of more of a national spotlight. Not too sure what happened to him after.
Did he play in non-league? Because no one ever mentions that.
The thing about it is people don't mention it enough.
No.
Whenever he did anything in the Premier League, didn't sort of talk about it enough. I thought it was interesting though, talking about Wealdstone though. Luke O'Nien, did he make his Premier League debut for Sunderland now? And he's again, not that long ago. Well, I suppose it was a little while ago now. But he started his career in non-league and was playing at Wealdstone in the Isthmian League under Gordon Bartlett, and it's taken him a while, all these sort of ups and downs. Went to Wickham, didn't he? And Sunderland had sort of success there, and now played in the Premier League. So it's amazing stories that can.
Stuart Pearce.
He's all right. They knock out some decent players down the years, don't they? So, what about Sutton, Couchy? They were seconds probably from going out of the FA Cup and not even making it into the FA Cup proper rounds. At Farnham, obviously got that late equaliser. I think they left it. They had sort of a bonkers replay where they needed a late equaliser there, and then got the winner in extra time. And Chris Agutta, spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and he was kind of saying, that spirit that they've got, that sort of mentality, that desire to do well for each other, has kept them in the FA Cup, and in a difficult time when they weren't going great in the league, and they've sort of turned it around quite a bit now. But amazing sort of sliding doors moments in the FA Cup, Couch, isn't there, where you are you can be so close to going out, and then a few rounds later you're in the playing Shrewsbury on the telly, second round, and at home, and hoping to cause another upset to add it to your club's already history that's already littered with FA Cup stories.
Yeah, I mean, we watched it in the office, didn't we? The Farnham game. Tony got out of jail. I think it was Agatha's first game or second game, maybe.
I think he'd been at Brain.
Second game. So he hadn't been there long, and they weren't great, to be honest. And Farnham are very, very unlucky, but managed to get the replay, and they squeezed through the replay as well. That wasn't easy either. But since then, it's a different Sutton side now. Over the last 3 or 4 weeks, their form has turned for the better, and all of a sudden under Chris Agaton, they're looking like the Sutton that we thought they may be at the beginning of the season again, and they're going to this bags full of confidence. They'll fancy this, I think. I mean, it's a big TV game against a football league side who are sort of struggling for form themselves. It's come at a good time for them, and this is a club, as you say, Batters, with big cup history. I mean, played Arsenal and Leeds over the last few years. They've given those fans some real big days to remember, and if they can just get over this line, obviously another big scalp in Shrewsbury in the third round hat. As we all know, as we said many times before, anything can happen. And I think they fancy this. It's come at a really good time for them. I just hope that they can string it together, get a nice big crowd up there, which I'm sure there will be, and give it another go.
I saw Shrewsbury in the last round, obviously at South Shields, and the one thing that struck me from the minute they got there until the minute they left was just a level of professionalism they showed, and they didn't take anything for granted against South Shields, who were flying at the time and still are. And they were comfortable. After a little bit of a shaky start where South Shields arguably should have been one ahead, they got a grip of the game really well and just killed any momentum South Shields built up. So I think that's kind of what they'll be looking to do. You look at the challenge they face, and they will probably face something very similar this weekend. And they'll have to show a very similar outlook. But I think it is a tricky one. No matter how they're doing in the league, Shrewsbury will be fully ready for this game.
Yeah. Do you think that will kind of help them, Mark, that they've already had to kind of go to the non-league side? Obviously, going up a level, but that sort of approach that they've clearly taken there, and making sure that you don't kind of turn up with that sort of it'll work itself out kind of attitude.
Yeah, because look, I think so. When I went to First Cloud Arena that day, you arrive and you're thinking, TV cameras here, sun's out, pitch is a little bit wet. South Shields were flying. I don't think they lost a game at that point, or they maybe just lost one against Macclesfield. Against the Shrewsbury side, who was sat, I think, second, third from bottom in League Two at the time, were really struggling for form. Everything seemed to be going in favour of South Shields causing an upset and getting into the second round themselves. But after, I think it was Kedwin Scott had a chance after like 2-3 minutes where he probably should have scored. You felt a big momentum shift after that where, like I say, Shrewsbury just absolutely killed the momentum and kind of killed the game off really quickly, but in a really efficient manner. It was really impressive how they did it. And then even second half, when South Shields were trying to get into the game, they just nullified them brilliantly. And I think, to answer your question in short, that will absolutely help them going against Sutton on this weekend. I think it's a very, very similar approach that they'll have to take.
Yeah. Obviously, National League North Buxton are going down to Cheltenham, and kind of, obviously away, South Shields are at home, but an opportunity there for John McGrath's side to go to a struggling League Two side. Obviously picked up a little bit under Steve Cottrell since he's gone in there. But what would you kind of say to sort of Buxton? Is it kind of try and imprint yourself on the game as quickly as possible from that point of view? I know, sort of speaking to John McGrath last week, he's saying this is a great opportunity for us to sort of see where we are in relation to, I wanted this opportunity to sort of test ourselves and use it as a yardstick of where we are in comparison to a sort of a fully established full-time professional football league club. Do you think sort of Shields got kind of that sort of out of the game as well?
You want to play on nerves because look, let's be honest, Buxton have absolutely nothing to lose going down there. Nobody expects them to win. And Cheltenham, they'll be thinking that they can't win in this game. If they go through, they go through because everyone expects them to go through. If they go out, it's embarrassing because it's a non-league club. It's a club from, 2 levels below where they play. So what Buxton have to do is go and set off those nerves early. Go and have a little bit of a go in the first 10 minutes and see how Cheltenham react. That's what they need to do. And, if you can get them on the back foot and you can force a few mistakes and get the crowds on the backs, then anything can happen after that. And I'm fairly certain that's the message that a lot of managers in non-league will be sending their players ahead of ties this weekend. Go and play on the nerves of the opposition.
Yeah.
Yeah, Couch, it can be that sort of, you can feel it when you're in a stadium, can't you? That sort of how games can sort of turn on that sort of edginess that kind of comes in when you're playing on it against a side who, fans might get frustrated quickly, and that's obviously going to be an important part for Buxton. But got some talented players as well, haven't they? So you see that Connor Kirby guy in the last round, and they've got players who can hurt Cheltenham. You think, Couchy?
Yeah, they've got players who have been there, done that as well. They've got and even the manager himself, played at a very good level. Yeah, you're right. I mean, sometimes you can turn up at a ground and it can become apparent very early that this might not be the foregone conclusion that everyone suspects. Sometimes it's just something in the air; it just doesn't feel right. And but Buxton will obviously sort of go to Wadden Road, and again, that sort of no fear attitude could work in their favour. Mark's right; they've got no expectation at all. Not many people expect them to do it, but this is the FA Cup. We've seen it many times before, and go there and absolutely nothing to lose. They've beaten some big clubs in National League North to get to this stage. I think they played Ipswich, I think, in the FA Cup a couple of years ago. So they're not used to sort of going to bigger, higher places, and they'll give it a go. And it's every opportunity for them open up here. Yes, Cheltenham are playing a little bit better under Steve Cottrell now, but hey, let's say this is the FA Cup. Anything can happen.
Was that a shock win for Ipswich that day? Was it?
It was a shock win. Yeah, it was a shock win. I was worried for a long time. Yeah.
If you got a no fear attitude, Buxton will go with a no fear attitude. What is it, a fear attitude that Newport should go to Boreham Wood with on Sunday?
Yeah.
And think, actually, if we're not on this, then this could be a difficult afternoon as well.
We catch the fish. Yeah.
Well, it's that aura, isn't it, that Boreham would have built up in the FA Cup of what they've done in recent years, and the fact that they have so many kind of giant killings under the belt now, even though some of them, the side now is very different to the ones that have caused upsets in the past, there's still that aura around the club if they've got this reputation as a giant killer. You look at Newport and what they're doing in the league or not doing. This one feels like the one where if you can't have a guaranteed giant killing, this one kind of feels like it could be that. And it's not as easy as that. We know that. There is difference in the levels no matter what we say. But the way Boreham Wood are playing, the level of players have got in there, the threat that they've got, it wouldn't even feel like a surprise if they were to win on in this game. So, yeah, it's I think it would be that fear factor that they will be travelling with.
Yeah, I've caught up with Callum Reynolds for Sunday's paper ahead of that, and he, going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, in those moments that you get in your career, he was with Bromley last year when they got to, before he rejoined Boreham Wood, he was with Bromley when they played Newcastle, and he said it was, obviously it's great when you kind of come out to St James's Park and look around. When the game gets going, you're kind of in the thick of it. But he said I sort of came off about 10 minutes ago, and so I just sat there just soaking it all in and looking around, because these are the sort of the moments you never know if you're going to kind of get again. So again, just a reminder of what's at stake. And yeah, I think we could all see Boreham Wood progressing on Sunday. But Newport, like I say, it can be, it could be. They start as favourites probably, really.
Yeah, but Mark's right. It's that aura, and that stems from the manager. Obviously, the manager's back in the hot seat now. Luke Garrett, he masterminded those runs in his previous reign, and now he's as I say, he's back in the hot seat. He's gone back in the National League. They've had a storming first season back, playing some great stuff. They've got some really good players in there. Getting Zach Brunt and Regan Booty. I'm not sure Regan Booty can play at the weekend or not, but I mean, what a midfield that is, and we've already spoken about the guys up front who are really pulling up trees. They're going into this with bags of confidence, and it's a difficult place to go. You're not going to get big crowds up there, but it's going to be quite an intimidating sort of atmosphere. They just upset you, don't they, really, from minute one, and good footballers, and they would have been there before, and if you're betting him, I think I said on the Football League podcast earlier in the week, if you are betting him, man, which
you are, but not a very good one.
Yeah, not a very good one. Yeah, but this would be the upset for the week.
Mark Gates said, Walsall, you'll be there on Sunday. Gates said that, we talked before, no chance down at AFC Wimbledon in the first round. Have gone down there, performed really well. Home to Walsall. Everyone thinks Walsall will go through. Can they do it again, the Heed? Maybe.
Everything inside me wants to say yes, it really does. I'm normally very, very positive, but I just...
Does part of that come from that foot Walsall kind of went down to Eastleigh in the last round? Because you know what a good side they are. They've gone down to Eastleigh in the last round. We're like, oh, that could be a tricky afternoon. And they made it not a tricky afternoon.
But also the fact that Walsall have got a lot of former non-league players. So they're kind of going to Gateshead knowing what to expect. Now, Gateshead's run of form since that game at AFC Wimbledon has been unbelievable. And by that, I mean unbelievably poor. They're conceding too many goals. They're not scoring enough. There's too many mistakes happening. Any momentum that was built up by that win at Wimbledon has just been eroded away. And I feel as if, I'll know more about this on Friday when I'm at the press conference, but I feel as if confidence across the club is now at a low. That's supporters and within the dressing room as well. I think because there's even games where you think they should get something where they aren't. Now, they're in the relegation zone now in the National League. It doesn't seem 2 minutes since we were saying they were kind of looking good for a top half finish, because they had a little run of form earlier in the season where you thought, okay, maybe they're coming to grips with this. Now, they have had a lot of injuries, but at the same time, I just feel they're carrying no momentum in this tie on Sunday, whereas Walsall are quite the opposite. So everything to me points towards a comfortable Walsall win, which I hate saying because I would love nothing more than for Gateshead to get into that third round, and pull out a tie that will give them a very much needed boost financially, if they could. But yeah, I think it's they are massive outsiders going into this just because of the contrasting form and confidence levels in both camps.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? We talk about being able to build off FA Cup runs and wins and things, and how that can translate into your league form. But they are in a bit of a difficult spot, Couchy. But maybe the fact that a break from the league could help them and just kind of go in and just play with that no pressure in the FA Cup on Saturday.
Yes, yeah. Sunday. The FA Cup can galvanise you, and obviously as we spoke about, sort of going to Wimbledon. No one gave me hope of going to Wimbledon. Wimbledon were flying high in League One, and to go all that way and win in the manner that they did as well was mightily impressive. So they got it in the armoury. I think what the factor that we mentioned earlier about Walsall having to having already been to Eastleigh, it's a big comparison to the Shrewsbury situation. Another long trip away from home. As Mark said, they got former non-league players in their squad. I think that could be a defining factor. But as I say again, it's the FA Cup. Gates says not an easy place to go to. If you're not fully on your game, they can hurt you, and they got players who can score goals. If they can keep those goals out at the other end, then they've got every chance, because Gates said they have got players who can score goals, and
it feels like one of those ties though. If Gateshead concede early, it'll just kill it.
Yeah,
that's the way it feels to me. And again, I hope I'm wrong, but I do feel as if Walsall can get in front early on, it will just kill any hope. It'll be interesting to see what the crowd is as well. Obviously, Gateshead's attendances have gone down from an already kind of low level compared to the National League rivals. So it'll be interesting to see what turns up on Sunday. There will be, I dare say, supporters of other clubs in the Northeast will turn up to get behind them. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting factor as well, because I think sometimes with Gateshead there isn't that side of it. There isn't the intense atmosphere from the supporters. There is a hardcore there who are unbelievable and follow the club through thick and thin, but they don't have that number where there is that intimidation. Obviously, the stadium's huge compared to others, and it doesn't get anywhere near full. So it's like Walsall won't have to deal with that side of it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting tie in that sense. But I do just think if Walsall can get in front, then they'll go on and win the game.
Yeah, talking of teams who've got players who can score goals, Carlisle United and Regan Linney certainly did that in the first round down at Reading when they were kind of, I said before, I was kind of half switched off, kind of discounted that game out of my mind when I saw what the score was going into the final minutes. Obviously turned it around and then won it in extra time. Carlisle going to Blackpool. Ian Evatt, Blackpool manager, again, knows about non-league, has been in it, has lived it, has breathed it, so he'll kind of know what's coming to them. But Carlisle, again, an opportunity to go and get into that third round and keep feeling that sort of good momentum and good feel-good factor that they're trying to restore after a tricky couple of years, to say the least, Couchy.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, this is actually another one of my tips for the weekend. Trying to think who they went to in the last round and won away from home.
Reading, yeah.
Reading, of course, yes, of course. I mean, that will stand them a good stead, and I think that says a lot about Mark Hughes and his team that they can go to a football league club and feel like they still belong at that level. And I mean that would give them a huge boost going into this game against a Blackpool side who are flattering to deceive at the moment. And I think they're fancy this. Mark Hughes obviously won't be fazed by trips like this. I think it will be Blackpool who will be the ones thinking, sort of looking up and thinking, any team on form in any league is a dangerous team. In the likes of Regan Linney, and you got Georgie Kelly. Scored a couple of goals at the weekend, ended his little goal drought. So he's banging form. I'm not sure if Chris Concart can play. Have to check that. But they've got some big name players, especially in those forward areas, and they will score goals if they can stop Blackpool from scoring. This could be a very interesting tie, really, for those many who might have a little punt on Saturday. I think I might put a little X in the Carlisle section there, because they're going great guns.
What price would you give for an Armstrong family double then?
That would be a good one.
Of course. Yeah, I didn't think. Yeah, that's a good point. Who knows?
Chris Concart can play because he set up Regan Linney's winner in the
last
one. But has it not confused you, the whole sort of new FA Cup rule where you can play for two different teams in the competition or different parts of the competition, the qualifying rounds and everything? I think when sort of Forest Green's sort of team sheet down at Luton, you're thinking, are they about to sort of play all these cups up? You think, well, surely they wouldn't make that kind of mistake. But obviously, the rules have slightly changed this year, so it's they can play for more than one club. But it's
big boost for him, that the fact that he can play.
Yeah, so that gives them that. Mark, do you think, like Couch is saying there, when you're a football league side and you get these non-league ties, they are a bit like, oof, because what can go wrong. It's kind of no-win situation, as you sort of said earlier, and wondering if Burton Albion are sort of feeling that as well. And you get Bratley away Monday night on the telly.
Under the
Thanks very much. Yeah. They sort of experienced it with Tamworth last year. Is that kind of one of those you're like, oh no, this could be a tricky one, even though Bratley are a little bit out of form at the minute.
But the thing I would say with this one is that we talk about the attack and threat of sides where you mentioned there about Carlisle have got so many forward players that can damage an opposition. We spoke about with other clubs as well here. I know they haven't been brilliant and certainly didn't reach the levels they did last year defensively, but I feel because of the organisation Brackley have, because of the defenders they have that unit where they can block out a side, this makes it even more difficult for Burton going there. But I think, put yourself in their shoes. I mean, they're going to turn up at St James's on St James Park on Monday night. and just realise they're in for a game straight away. You know, the pitch is probably not going to be great because of the weather. You know, the cameras are there for one reason. We know why they're there. You've got under the floodlights, there'll be a big crowd. They'll be right on top of them. So this is one of them where, God, I sound like I'm sitting on the fence here. Well, literally anything could happen. You wouldn't be shocked if anything happened in that game. You wouldn't be shocked if Brackley stole a 1-0 win and got through. But at the same time, you wouldn't be surprised if Burton went there and dominated and won the game comfortably. It's kind of that unpredictable nature that we love about ties like this. But yeah, the fear factor is completely on one side in that tie, and that makes it really dangerous for Burton.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the typical camera shots of people in trees behind that stand, as there was in that COVID year. I think we'll always have that COVID game, won't we, Mark? When we sort of kind of the first game out, waving at each other, sort of across Brackley. That first game back in that playoff. Was that It was eliminated, wasn't it? Yeah, when Gates went down there and that mad Shane Byrne goal to equalise half time. But
there was some great commentary on that goal.
That's what they said. I think there was talk about, it was some of the best commentary, not just in the COVID era, but of all time.
It was. Well, if Gateshead's goal was Messi, that was more Lionel Messi. That was it.
That was very good. I see what you've done.
I don't know what happened with that, lad.
That is why they pay you the big bucks. That's that was incredible. That was incredible. That's a goal I'm still never sure if I've actually seen it, because I was still writing down the Gateshead goal, looked up and the ball was in the air. So did I see Shane Byrne? I'm saying I have, but
no, it was a funny old day, that one. I feel like I somehow defied death by climbing that scaffolding to get to the position.
COVID wasn't the problem. It was you getting up and down the scaffold.
Actually, to be fair, getting down it was worse because you couldn't see what was below you. So you just kind of kept climbing until your foot hit something. Yeah, it was an interesting afternoon, that one.
It was bizarre. I always feel that other thing as well. It's kind of obviously get through and it was like, yay, and then everyone sort of like walked off the pitch. It was a sort of like, it's such a strange sort of afternoon, wasn't it?
But the semi-final was the same. Like Boston, Gator were at Boston, and it was very much the same. Where a full-time whistle went, there was a little bit of a celebration, then everyone just went home.
Yeah. Everyone just walked off.
Yeah, that was it.
Well, they certainly won't be doing that if Brackley can do the business. I mean, Couch, I said they've not been in the greatest form since they beat Notts County in the last round, and that will give Burton a bit of hope. But we know the sort of, as Mark's saying, the sort of the dangers that Brackley can possess, and they can be such a strong unit, and they can be hard to break down. They're going to need all that on Monday to keep it going on as long as they possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, they're well organised, and that comes down to the manager, and and they're going to need to be on Monday night. Burton is one of those ties where you think, could get at them. Their form's not great either at the moment, albeit playing at a higher level. So yeah, Brackley are going to have to up their game offensively. They can score goals, and they can also suck up a little bit of pressure because they're so well organised. And that may well be the feeling on Monday. I think chances aren't going to come that freely. I wouldn't have thought so. They're going to need to take them, and if they can do that and they can keep it tight at the other end, they've got our friend Gaz Dean at the heart of their defence. He'll probably be in for a busy night. But they got a squad who know exactly what to expect. If they can get those two things right in both boxes, then who knows?
And a club like Slough, I think they've been in the second round quite a few times and just trying to get into that elusive third round. Chaps, put you on the spot. How many teams are we going to have in that third round draw on Monday?
Okay, including, obviously, we've got the two.
You've got to know that you get at least two in there.
We've got at least two. Right.
You don't have to give me the names of the teams, but let's say how many do you think are going to be
5
in there? We got one.
Yeah, I was thinking 5. 4 then. 4 or 5.
How many ties we got? Shall I go for a full house?
You should go for a full house.
I'm saying 4.
Four more than one other.
I'm saying 4. I'm saying 4.
I'll say 5. I'll go ambitious.
I'm saying 4. I hope it's more. I hope we're all wrong and it's more. But that will be the exciting one on. We know we've got at least 2 non-league sides in there. That will be the exciting one on. I assume the draw's Monday. I'm not actually. I'm just sort of saying Monday because it normally is, but I guess it could be Sunday as well, couldn't it? Because of the game. I'm not actually seen when that's out, but so it will be. Teams actually who are in the third round we're going for, maybe not just in the draw, depending on what time the draw is, because you can't sort of count. If they do it before the Brackley game, then we can't count Brackley already been in the draw. But be interesting. Lots to look forward to. Obviously, all the Saturday games are covered in non-league paper on Sunday. We're busy writing previews for the Sunday and Monday games, and Mark, you obviously, like you said, going to the Gateshead press conference on Friday. So, looking forward to all that, chaps. Thanks very much for joining us. Thanks everybody for tuning in as well. Make sure you like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, and make sure you pick up Sunday's paper. See how many of the sides we get through. We know we'll have at least one in the hat for on Saturday evening. So let's hope we get more than that, and then we'll see what Sunday and Monday bring as well. Chaps, thanks very much. We'll catch you next week and dissect all the action.
Good stuff. All the best.
Cheers. See you soon.